This is OG Bamm Bamm, the 411 Giant, and Bamm Bamm Raw TV. And I'm here to talk to you. Me and you, we talking personal, and we talking about my man, the body snatcher, Kat Kidak. Me and Kat Kidak, they have alleged the body snatcher Kat to have over 19 bodies. They were saying that he was easing in and out the projects, easing in on people, getting a drop on them, taking them away, and getting what he needed from them. And so now, this thing about this body snatcher, as y'all know him, or as society know him, with his alleged 19 bodies or whatever, this a different side to him that I know. I mean, personally, it's always strength, but it's a lot of loyalty to it. It's a lot of loyalty. He was a solid little young homie, and right now, I wish him the best here in Angola. Right now, got a life sentence, and he's fighting it to get back out. He called me on the telephone on the regular and everything. If you look him up, he gonna be Kisack, the body snatcher. And if you look at him, it don't look like much to him because he laid back, he quiet. You know, you're gonna see the little tattoo on his face, but he's laid back and he quiet, and he got a movement that some people, they confused about it. They don't know if the movements that he got, and they looking at all these bodies that he got, or allegedly got, but the movements of him, you would look at him and you would say, man, little light-skinned or quiet, always kind of peeping, analyzing situation type dude, you could so easily mistake him for a coward. You can mistake his peeping and going on for fear, and that'll be a big mistake. It could be a deadly mistake because Kisack Kat, he a whole lot of things, but he ain't no coward. But he laid back, as me and OG Giggity was talking about. Most men who are about their business is not loud. I'm not saying some can't be loud, but most are not loud, and most are not putting themselves out there presumption because they do what they do and they through with it. There's nothing to brag about. You either get the money and get on, but it's nothing to brag about. We was locked up in Supermax Marion, the lockdown Marion. We was actually locked up down there in Marion because I was down there for stabbing a guy in the face over 13 times, and he was there for punishing his celly. He had stabbed his celly up pretty bad, and so they sent him down. That's what USP Marion was like, the Supermax before Supermax ADX was built, and it was for the worst of the worst. You know, it was for the worst of the worst in the federal system, which is supposed to carry the worst, because we was all in USPs. Most of us, people like me and Kat. When I met Kisack, people had already told him about me. As OG Giggity said, I was all over the system. People had heard about me. I had been putting in work since the day that I come into the system because of my stature, short stature, and because of my anger for the time and stuff that had happened with me. So Kat comes into the unit. He come over in the unit. When he come into the unit in Supermax, he tell he looking at me. He's a Muslim, and he was staying away, kind of looking at me out the door, peeping and looking at me and going on. But I had heard enough about him to know that he wasn't no coward. So he was peeping, going. So I just boom, I go bum rush the door. I go to the door. Hey, what's going on, homie? Like that there. So he hollered back at me going on. I said, look here. I said, you're a Muslim. You're on Muslim time. Or you're on Louisiana time. I see the way it go. I respect both of them there because I got a lot of Islamic brothers. I got brothers from everywhere, man. So I'm not no dude who stereotype going on. I said, but what you need me? He said, no, I'm all right. I said, no, what you need, man? Let me make sure that you right on everything, because you my homeboy at the end of the day, no matter what. Like that there. So I don't know what you done heard about me or whatever, but I fool with everybody from the tip to the top of the boot. I said, and I fool with other men, real men from other cars. So me and him got it kicking it. We got going back and forth and everything. We named some of the steppers that I've been around out of New Orleans going on. So he was getting more comfortable and everything. But the whole time, as I say again, he's very deceptive because he's so quiet and soft-spoken. He's quiet and soft-spoken, and he's always looking, and you wondering why he look like that. But Kat, there's a difference between being a coward and being paranoid, or being observant. And Kat is not a coward. And some people think he's paranoid. Me, I think he's observant. when you've been allegedly accused of killing that many people or doing that many to people, you got to always be aware of your surrounding or anybody who may want to seek revenge for their homeboy. So Kat would he would observe people, and in his observation, as we went on and got closer with each other, Kat is over there in his mind is figuring out, okay, do I got to kill this dude? How this dude moving? Am I gonna have to do this dude? Because if he gonna have to do that dude, he hadn't showed me that he had no problem with that. I've never had an incident while we was down in Maryland that I come at him and he wasn't ready to get up and let's go. I had to talk him. No, you sit down. I got this him. But point is, he's very observant. When he looking at a dude, he checking out. He listening to his slang. He listening to his language. He listening to the way he move. You know what I'm saying? Because he's trying to see what part of his project from. More than likely, most he's very aware of his homeboys that some that he may have beef with in the past. So he's always observing when somebody come on there and if they say water out their mouth, that his antenna gonna go up. His antenna going up, and he start looking and he start analyzing. Then that's why he gonna be doing. Then he gonna start doing his homework on it. What penitentiary dude said? What's going on with dude? What? Okay, well, who he was with? Who was around? Who was going on like that? And I had a couple of homeboys that came through the door that he got real tight with. But the man is he's like an anomaly. The man is you just can't. He's smart. He's always thinking. He always got a scheme. He always got a scheme. He always about making money, and he got a scheme. And the thing about it, what I say about number one, his script. I'll tell a story with his script. He with his script and with his heart. DC had got into it with the Aaron brothers about a situation with homeboy doing one of their homeboys doing some gambling, and the guy said asked for his money a little bit too forceful, and they wasn't going for that. Some of the men like Teflon Sean and Tone them, Tough Slim them, they wasn't going for that. They play straight, but you ain't gonna run over them in their form or fashion. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to Teflon Sean because he's another little big man. He ain't much taller than me, probably an inch. I give him that. But so we had the situation. So when the situation come down now, they don't woke everybody up and prepared everybody in case because this thing could get big. And so now they let me know what's going on like that there. So I tell my homeboy Kat Kisack the body snatcher. I tell him, I said, listen, man, you too short. You too short to go down in this here. I got this here. And he like, no, I'm going. I said, man, you can't, man, because you're too short to go home. I need you to go home and everything, man. I said, I don't get no credit for my homeboys I keep in jail. I get my points for the one I sent home. And so you going home. I said, trust me, I'm going to go to my DC men's and I'm going to let them know that you're not going because I'm not going to let you go, but I'm going to let them know. I'm going to give them my word that I'm going to get one for me and I'm going to stay at one for you. And that's a bet. And so I sit him down and everything and he listened to me. And we went out there, thank God that, at that time, the guys retracted and they bagged up and they retracted and left it alone because the men they were playing with don't do no playing. So we stepped back and we got all that taken care of and going on. And so the next thing that we had dealing with sending him home was that he was that short to the door and his co-defendant had just got out. His co-defendant just got out. And when his co-defendant just got out, he was coming down the steps of the halfway house and he was gunned down. So now that raised some antennas up in Kat's brain. So he automatically went into work and going on to make sure that he transferred to get his paperwork and everything transferred to another state. And he got his paperwork and everything through the council transferred. Where he had people to set up the place for him. He had a couple of friends. They set up the spot for him. They, got him a job down there, everything. They did everything, The man is loyal, he loyal. And the people that he fooled with 100%. So they got him all situated. And me and I think his mama was the only one that, knew where he was going. You know what I'm saying? I didn't divulge that, and I know she wasn't going to divulge that. So he got, when he got out, he went to that place. And the whole thing, he was breaking down to it. He want to analyze what happened, how it happened, what effect that it has on how he moved and everything like that. So he wanted to step back from another state and look at it, New Orleans, look at its surrounding, and view everything from the outside so he could see what was going on, opposed to getting in the middle of something and then have to look all around you and try to figure out what's going on when you're already in the middle of it. So that's the kind of thought he puts into the situation. He got out, I think he was out for about 2 weeks when he sent me the first $100. And during that time there, he sent me a few $100 and going on. And one thing he gave his word, man, look at me, homie, when I get out, I'm gonna put something on your book. And I've been told that out of my 27 and a half years, I've been told that probably 80 times. And it's only happened twice. So, so I know, I wasn't really expecting no lot from him. I was just happy for him to go on. But the man kept his word on everything. And another thing about Mr. Kat Kidak, as you know him, and the body snatcher, they alleged that he was going around, kidnapping people. They made the allegation that he was trying to snatch up a BG, but BG was ready for him and going on. No doubt BG was ready for him and going on, but from what he tell me, it never was his intent. People had put that out there for some reason, but it never was his intent to bring BG and move that. He know BG was a brand going on. So somehow that story, and he actually told me this on the phone, that was the case, that he wasn't going at BG. And when OG Giggity was here and on my podcast, I mentioned that to OG Giggity, you know what I'm saying? Because he had got the information and, he was happy to hear that going on. Because like I said, it's some steppers down there. It's some good mans, and, they all about their business and going on. Meatball, OG Blab. I mean, it's big bouncing, man. It's a plethora of them. But every state, every city got their steppers. They got their men. But this is about Kat Kidak, the body snatcher, man. And right now, again, I say he down in Angola. He actually got a life sentence, and he got a life sentence over, really, I say some bull crap. One, threatening the judge. Two, having a cell phone. So they hit him with if I'm right, they hit him with the habitual offender and everything. But based on what's happening, he's fighting the paperwork real, real hard, and he's on top of it. I'm looking forward for him to get out soon. Now, that's it, the story of the body snatcher, but I got some more stories for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Welcome back to Bamm Bamm TV. In this episode, we're going to talk about the first infamous person that I met going into the federal system. Now, when I went to court to get my time, once I was sentenced, they refused to send me back to the city jail where my property and all those things was. Instead, they shipped me directly out the courthouse. When they shipped me directly out the courthouse, they had a car waiting for me, and they sent me to Texarkana holding and holdover. It seemed that they thought that I was going to make some kind of way to get out of there, or people was going to come trying to break me and my co-defendants out of there at the time that we had been found guilty and been sentenced. The amount of time they gave us, they know we was not going to be pleased with that. So I went to Texarkana holdover. I was in Texarkana, Arkansas holdover for about 5 days, and I was shipped from Texarkana holdover to the FTC, Federal Transfer Center, which is the new one. It's in Oklahoma. That's the one that I went to. And the Federal Transfer Center is basically, it's like a meeting place. Everybody coming on this bus to go back to court, coming from this town or this state to be transferred to the penitentiary that they're gonna go through. So what they do, they bring us all there and they sort you out and they put you all on the bus going east, all on the bus going west to whatever penitentiary you're going to. So in during your time there, the average person stay there can be anywhere from 8 days to 2 weeks. But fortunately, I would say for me, because I was high max in, which means a high max in person, number one, we go to lockdown upstairs. We don't get to hang out in the pods that they have downstairs for the rest of it. We go up on the 7th floor, and on the 7th floor is basically lockdown. So I went up on the 7th floor, and they have a rule that high max in can stay there no more than 3 days. So that's good. That means that I didn't have to hang around no long time waiting to be transferred. So I was there for 3 days, but during that time, High Max Inn cannot go out in the dark. That means in the early morning, we cannot go out direct because High Max Inn, we don't hold different security level. So we could not go out in the early morning wreck. So our wreck usually came like the third, what we call second or third hour wreck when the sun was up. Then we was allowed to come out. And your High Max Inn only wreck with High Max Inn. So that means you go to mix with another individual who considered to be just as dangerous as you is, or have a high max security in. So when I went out there, I listened. I tried to talk to a couple of guys. One guy I tried to talk to. This guy here, I mean, I don't know. He was some kind of. I don't know if it was a proper thing would be to call him a satanic worshiper or devil worshiper or whatever. It was some type of religion that he had, but I think he was going a little overboard with. He seemed. I think he was an African. He seemed to be an African and everything, but man, the dude is he. I mean, the dude blow my top off as soon as I when I met him. I mean, I never, I tried to talk to him. He was just walking around looking crazy. I spoke to him a little bit, hey man, where you going? Blah blah blah. He didn't. And finally, he come over. When he come over, and the dude sit there and told me, he said, man, I will bite you to death. I said, the dude told me he would bite me to death. And when the dude's teeth was filed down, and I didn't know how to accept that. I mean, I heard people tell me they'll shoot me to death, they'll stab me to death, but I didn't know how to react to a situation where somebody told me they'll bite me to death, and I think he was serious about it. So after he said that, I didn't say another word to him. I was trying to find out something about the federal system. After I seen that he was a patient or whatever, I stopped fooling with him. But they had another guy in there. He was a Spanish-looking guy, and he was real quiet, and he stayed over to himself and everything. And I spoke to him, and then once I spoke to him, he engaged me and started talking to me, and we started talking back and forth. And he turned out to be Francisco Duran, the one who shot up the White House. Said he shot up the White House, and the police officer, off-duty police, jumped on his back. We all seen the newspaper clipping of it. I mean, not the newspaper clipping of it. My apologies. We seen the news clipping of it, where when he's standing, he got the SK with AK clip, and he's shooting through the gate, and the police, the baby carriage rolled by. Police jump on him, on his back, and they wrestle him down, take the gun from him. In the end result, he ended up getting 40 years off of that there, and a $10,000 fine for the stucco bill, damage to the White House. But at that time, I didn't know who he was, and he told me who he was like I was supposed to know. And he said, I'm Duran, Francisco Duran. And I said, yeah, all right, okay. He said, you don't know who I am? I said, nah. He said, well, I just come from the mental health center because I had to have a mental evaluation. I said, all right, okay, I can see that, And then he said, now I'm the one, the guy that drove from New Mexico, Colorado, and went down there and shot up the White House. Where he said shot at President Clinton. I said, oh yeah, I seen that, man. I watched that on the news. I seen that going on. And so me and him started talking. Very, very, very intelligent person. He's like a idiot savant. He's very, very intelligent, but he kind of awkward in common mannerism. I remember he ended up telling me that he had been in the military, and I realized through my talking to him, I said, well, this is the guy that I always hear the police going back and forth with. When I got there, I used to hear a guy down in the cell, and I used to hear the police would always stop by. You would have both sides of the coin. I hear some police, they'll stop by and be telling him, man, your aim was off, man. You could have, I guess they wasn't fans of President Clinton. They would say this slick stuff like, man, you should have had a better aim. You should have this or that, and they'll laugh and joke with him and going on. And then others was come by and they would taunt him that the President Clinton wasn't even there. He wasn't even in the building. He wasn't nowhere near. You was just shooting at a innocent bystander, and he was pretty adamant that he saw the President Clinton and that he was actually shooting at him. He pretty adamant about that, and I would hear him go back and forth, but I didn't know. I didn't know who. I didn't know that was the person that I was talking to then. I just thought they were talking to a mental patient back there. But anyway, as it go on, me and him talk, and he seemed to be very distrustful of the government and the things that they said, based on the fact that he had been in the military. Matter of fact, he had got a dishonorable discharge in the military. Now he told me personally, some of his reasoning for it was the thing that he seen him do when he was deployed. I can't remember exactly what place he was deployed to, but he was telling me the dirtiness he had seen him do, the soldiers do when they go into these villages and everything. He said that he complained about it. He complained about it because I think he was medical. He said that he complained about it, and they ended up getting him dishonorable discharge based on that, and saying that he was having a nervous breakdown. And so he sit there and he said when he seen that stuff happen with Waco, he was very disturbed about what happened with Waco and the things that went on there. And he was convinced that it was the things that the people had done that was deployed to go in there that had caused the children their lives. And at that time, if I remember correctly, he told me he was doing acid and he was watching it on television and everything. At that time, he was up in Colorado with a couple of friends, and he just said he looked at the TV and he said, him and two of his friends say he looked at the TV and said, if that bouncer tell one more lie like they ain't had nothing to do with that, I'll go down there and blow the head off. So when he said that, he made that, that's what he said. He said, and so the two people that were with him, they just thought it was some high talking. They was full of acid, so they just thought it was some high talking. And next thing you know, when they seen him again, according to what I heard, when they seen him again, he was on the news shooting up the White House. So what these two friends who was in the house with him did, they immediately called the feds and stuff, because they was afraid that they was going to be included in it. They was going to be part of a conspirator, because he had made that statement with him, and they had prior knowledge that he had made that statement. So they called the feds right off the bat and said, hey, we that's Francisco Duran. He was just here with us. He made it in his statement, and so on, so on. So that ended up that's his situation. If you look him up, Francisco Duran, prayerfully he's getting ready to get out now. But he's very, like I said again, he's very, very intelligent dude. He had all kind of anarchist group getting at him and trying to get him to create cities that only had to deal with the government only had to deal with the government through the federal post, through the post office. Other than that, it was going to be a sovereign little city and everything. And he could design that. He had, we got, and matter of fact, we ended up going to Florence, Colorado together. So we got on we left in 3 days, and we got on the plane together. We got on the plane together. We found out we were going to the same place, and we also ended up in the same unit. So me, him, and this white guy named Billy Bish, we used to kind of like hang out. We was hang out and kick it because I liked rock and roll, and I was kind of, you know what I'm saying, and I liked it, like I say, I like intelligence. I like to learn, you know what I'm saying. I like to learn, and I used to pick up a lot of things from him, and he just couldn't do the simple things. So he could sit there, and I used to actually see him take people back. He would take people in the room, and he would lay them down, and he would lay them down, and he rub his hand all over their back. He just go up and down their back and rub his hand in their back, and they tell him what he was hurting and everything. And I watched him. He used to go with each one of these individuals. He would go get books, and he would lay a blanket, fold the blanket up, and lay it across the books, and he would adjust the books and put the books in certain places, and then he would get on his knees, or he'll get one leg, and he would actually walk on the individual back, not putting his whole weight or total weight on it, but he would walk on these individuals back. And I personally seen this myself. These individuals would get up, and they would be, dudes who would been over and been having back pain, they would get up and walk out of there, man, and they would probably be sore for 2 or 3 days. After then, man, it was 100% healed, and the guy was good at what he did. But like I say, He was an idiot savant. He was very intelligent, but if you sit him to make a cup of coffee, cause me and him sit and kicked it a lot. If you sit him to get a cup of coffee, he's gonna waste it all over the floor. He's gonna waste coffee over the floor. He's gonna waste all over. But you can sit him in there to hook you up some kind of contraption. He'll hook it up with no trouble at all. At that time, because I had my case was national. Well, his case was national too, but I was kind of known a little bit for some of my homeboys there, so I had to plug in on the weed, which I never smoked weed outside nor in the penitentiary. Got nothing against it, but I never smoked it, and so but I had homeboys that were plugging me in, and at that time I still had pretty good money coming in, so I wasn't hurting for nothing. So I used to buy the weed to barter with, because I basically like to drink. So I used to have the weed on hand to do my bartering with. But because he was so awkward, people would either not sell him weed because they didn't trust him, because he was so awkward that you could think that he could tell something, but he wasn't that kind of dude. But anyway, they would not sell him anything. So what I would do, I would go get it. I get it, and I have it, and I get it too. If I didn't have it, I go get it for him. But I always made sure he was straight and going on. He started working Unicorn and everything. And like I said, we had a pretty good friendship. We had, and we got along pretty good. Like I said again, I hope that he out by now, because he was originally from New Mexico, but I think he ended up leaving Denver when he went down there to do that. He had been staying in Denver. And like I said, the dude was, he was just so distraught about what the military, so many things that he told me, that the military incidents and where they went into these different cities, and the people was afraid of, I guess, the insurgents, and because the people had hid out the insurgents, that they said that the soldiers would they would do the people real bad. I'm not gonna go into details now, but they would do the people real bad. And one of his issues was that those people do not even have weapons. So if an insurgent come there and tell them to hide them out, then what choice do they have? If the insurgent have weapons, then they don't. So it was a lot to it, and I think it messed with him. He couldn't stand out there because he liked to help people. He couldn't stand out there not being able to help people and being a part of people getting abused. And that didn't go over too good with him. So I think that when he seen that with the Waco incident and everything like that, and doing that acid, I think it was just a little too much, But like I said, that would be one of the first most infamous guys that I met in media wise. When I first got locked up, he would be the first one. And like I said again, if you look him up, it'd be Francisco Duran, and you can see him. You can look at his picture. You can tell I had pictures with him, but unfortunately, my first wife seemed to have misplaced them. But I got pictures of others that I brought home. All right, so I'm gonna end this episode and tell y'all again: go get you some BXBZ gear. You know what I'm saying? Support the cause, and I want y'all all to have a good day and continue to support me, because we finna step this thing up. We finna start adding visual aids and start letting y'all see as well as hear some of the things I'm talking about. Love y'all. Take care. Hello, and welcome back to Bamm Bamm Raw TV. On this episode, we're going to address who was the first probably known infamous person that I met when I was going to the federal penitentiary. As I've said before, when I was shipped directly out of the courtroom to FCI Texarkana, where I was kept in a hold there waiting to transfer, and I got transferred from there. I ended up going to the Federal Transfer Center in Oklahoma, which is a transition center where everybody from every different place in the Fed come through there on their way to the next place. They'll come there and they'll stay about a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then they'll go on to Atlanta, to whatever penitentiary or whatever, or back to court, wherever they're going. But fortunately for me, by me being a high max in, they can't keep me there no longer than 3 days. So they put me up on the lockdown part. They got a part downstairs in which y'all in a dome. I never was allowed to go down there because of my high max in. So they kept me up in the lockdown part, one man cell, lockdown part at the top on the 7th floor. So being up there, when they come out direct, because of my high max in, I cannot be brought out while it's still early in the morning. It has to be daylight before that I can be brought outside because of my security level. Not just me, but other people on this level at a high max in. Which means when they start the wreck at 6 in the morning, if the way the time is set up at 6 in the morning, it's still dark outside, then my wreck will be put off until about 8 or 9 o'clock where the sun came out. So in doing that, I came out and I noticed naturally that the people that was wrecking with me were high max in. I talked to a guy who, that didn't last long because he appeared to be a mental patient, and I had no idea who he was or what he done, so that didn't last long. But I kept hearing police stop about a guy's cell, so I thought it was that guy there. He was a dark-skinned black guy, but I think he was Nigerian or something, but African. But they kept stopping at somebody's cell, and they kept noticing him and saying who he was and what he had done and how they remember seeing what he had done and this and that. So I thought it was the Nigerian guy going on, but there was another Hispanic-looking guy that was out there. There was 3 of us out there that was high max in, and they was this Spanish guy. Me and him, he seemed to be level-headed. So me and him, we started a dialogue. I introduced myself, he introduced himself. I'm doing a few push-ups, trying to shake the fog, and that's when he told me who he was. And he said that his name was Duran, and it still didn't ring a bell or whatever. Then he told me his whole name, Francisco Duran. It still didn't ring a bell. And so he said, well, you don't remember me? I'm the one that was on TV. I said, on TV for what? And that's what he said, I'm the one they got for shooting up the White House. I said, oh, all right, then he said, yeah, remember they got the video showing where the guy jumped on my back and this and that. And I said, oh, yeah, okay, I do remember that, like that, I said, but that was when that was a little while ago like that. He said, yeah, but he had they had to do a mental evaluation on him, so he was coming from having a mental evaluation did. And so me and him, we got to talking, and that's why I paid attention that I seen the police was always stopping by his cell saying something to him. So I started catching clips of the conversation. A lot of police would taunting him about, the fact that President Clinton wasn't there when he was shooting. That he wasn't shooting at President Clinton. He was just shooting at a empty building, or he just shooting at some innocent bystander, and they was coming out that, and he was pretty sure of who he seen and what he thought going on. He said he had put too much in the study and everything, but they actually go back and forth, taunting him back and forth, and eventually I got 40 years. He got 40 years for that, and $10,000 stucco bill for the damage to the White House. But as me and him went on, and I seen that he was a very, very smart dude. I mean, he was very extremely smart dude. Political, he had been in the military and everything, so it was either talk to him or talk to the guy with the mental patient. So me and him, we just talk about the Fed and what we was expecting, and we found out that we were both going to USP Florence. So therefore, we was going to the same place. So we started putting together a bond. Now, neither one of us knew that how the federal system is set up. At that time, I had no knowledge of it. So, and I don't think he had no knowledge of it because he was out of New Mexico. And like I say, I don't believe he had ever had any association even with prison or any type of thing like that before then. But long story short, me and him kind of formed a little alliance, and as we got down to USP Florence and we get out on the compound, and we kick it with each other, but we seem to be at odds because we noticed people was looking at how we was kicking it with each other. And the thing about the setup in the feds is they try to keep everybody grouped out, so it's better for them to be able to control. So now Spanish guys are associating and they fool with different people and going on, but they generally keep to their own people. And if you look, DC people usually keep to their own people, and blacks and all Asians, they pretty much keep to their own people. Now they divert out of that there with they got a friend here and there going on, but they don't just hang together like that. I mean, in fact, my first day to go out to chow, since I had been in the state system, but I had never been in the Fed, my first day of going to chow, I was taught in the Fed system, you fill up the next chair. I mean, in the state system, you fill up the next chair. So when I went behind the white guy in front of me, when he went sit down, I went sit down beside him. And I noticed everybody was looking at me crazy and going on. And so finally, a guy from California, black guy from California, came up out the black section and walked over like that and touched me on the shoulder. Said, "Come on, hey, come on, little man, come over here with us, man. Let me tell you something." So he called me over there, and then that's when he started breaking down to me that you can actually sit anywhere you want, and the people sit with their different groups. You sit with your own color, or your different groups, or your homeboy. And I mean, in the state, we don't have that luxury. You're gonna fill the next available seat. So I was in the blind right then. I wasn't, trying to buck nothing, and I wasn't trying to start nothing or disrespect the dudes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Cause I mean, I'm gonna sit wherever I want to sit when I want to. But if I know how the program go, I didn't come there to just start no trouble, not over no chair. But anyway, they laid everything to me. But me and Duran, we kept our friendship. And like I say, he's a very, very intelligent dude. He was like an idiot savant, I'll say. And he's very, very intelligent dude. And I mean, he's my partner the whole time that me and him was at USP Florence before I was shipped for the Southern officer instead of another inmate. So, but that was the first individual that I had met with an infamous reputation and infamous name that was known. Now there's others that may have been on that range that I seen, but since I didn't know who they was, I can't mention those because I actually, like I said, maybe some on there that I didn't know, but I do know who Duran was, and based on our conversation together, what he was down there for and what happened with him and everything. And like I say, we kept up our friendship on after then, and kicked it down there in USP Florence. So that would be the answer to the first infamous person that I had the pleasure of meeting in the federal system. Y'all take care. Love you.